Okay, so well, originally the actual depression started about 11 years ago. I had to go through a course of IVF to try and have children. Um,
Oh,
it didn't work, so obviously that left me um, devastated. So that's actually when the depression started about 11 years ago. And I kind of went through a whole spiritual journey, and really thought I'd kind of dealt with it. And so do when we go on a spiritual journey. I mean, I did various things. There's not a lot that I didn't do, and I really thought I'd kind of dealt with my issues and dealt with the despair of not having children. And it was interesting that 2 years ago my life was actually in a really good place. I was in a job that I loved. Everything was going really well financially, and I started to feel a bit down, and literally within the space of 24 hours, I found myself standing on the edge of a platform at a train station wanting to jump. And I thought I had jumped. Um, just complete. It's a place of complete and utter despair. It was a huge shock. Obviously, I don't really know how I got home, but I somehow, I don't know. Me personally, I think it was some kind of divine intervention. I don't remember. The next thing I remember is being at home in my house, and it was a Friday, so that whole weekend was, quite traumatic. I wanted to kill myself, I wanted to kill my partner, I wanted to kill my fur babies. It was all very dark, and so on the Monday, I called the doctor, went to see the doctor on the Monday, and I was put on high priority, which basically means that I had to get care and attention straight away because I was on, the high priority list. So, so I was quite lucky. I was really lucky. I got counseling straight away. My work was really understanding. I managed to kind of pull myself out of, that kind of dark, deep place of despair. But what transpired after that is that I started to get really bad anxiety and really bad panic, which is something that I had never ever experienced before. We all get scared and we all get anxious, but this feeling of pure panic and everything just closing in on you was so debilitating. So I had to leave my role at that time, which was as a manager in a major department store in London. I had to leave that role, and I went for a role as a sales, just a sales representative. I told the company that I was going to go and work for, of my mental health issues, and they were really good, really supportive. If I had anxiety, they would kind of give me the time off work. There was no kind of issues around how much time I took off sick, and that kind of thing. And also 11 years ago, because of the IVF and the medication I had to take, I also ended up getting really bad psoriasis and really an asthma. So Sandy, who has been my soul brother for about 4 years, he introduced me to Clean Slate back in, I think it was June of this year. So previous to that, and the anxiety could kick off for you know such small reasons, but obviously really debilitating. I found myself not being able to do anything, and then that would lead to depression because you feel like a failure. And I'd always been a very successful businesswoman before the IVF, so it was very, very difficult for me. So he originally recommended the Clean Slate for my psoriasis because I think it was somebody called Mark who was taking Clean Slate. He'd had these amazing results with it. So that was really the original reason why I started taking it. And I started to notice around about sort of July, August time that something happened in the house, and that would have sent me into at first anxiety and then into a huge panic attack. And it didn't happen, and I was really surprised. And I know this sounds crazy, but I was actually looking for the panic and the anxiety because I didn't want to feel like I was suppressing it. Because if you suppress it and, you know, if you don't deal with it, basically, it can lead to a worse panic attack. And I had a panic so bad one day that I ended up in hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. So the panic didn't happen. And I just thought, okay, maybe it's just because we're in lockdown and a bit chilled at the moment. And I think, hey, was when I was literally called a day before, because obviously we were in lockdown, I wasn't at work, and I was called into work and I was given basically 10 hours notice to go into work. And that would have definitely sent off a panic attack. So my area managers kept ringing me and saying, you know, are you okay to do this? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I was fine. And I got up in the morning and got ready for work and got on the train and went to work. And I remember getting to work and coming out of the train station and just this complete feeling, just overwhelming joy, is that I didn't feel anxious at all. And I remember leaving Sandy a voice note because I didn't want to talk to him because I knew I'd just start crying. So I just left him this voice note and I just said, you know, dude, you know, this is incredible. I have no anxiety. I have no panic. I went to work, you know, beautiful day at work. And since then, I haven't had any anxiety or any panic. And the only thing that I changed in my life was taking clean slate. That was the only thing I changed.
Wow, Rabina, that's incredible. Were you taking the not just the clean slate, but were you taking the zero in as well?
No, I haven't started taking the zero in yet. On the clean slate at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Clayton.
I'm listening. I'm loving it.
It's I don't know. I'm you know, before my IVF, I never took any medication. I'm an aromatherapist. I've always been into nutrition, and I truly believe that, you know, medication is poisonous, and you know, and I do that the IVF medication poisoned my system, and somehow that led to, you know, obviously it affected me physically firstly and emotionally. But then obviously because I was dealing with it, my body was so toxic that obviously that then the mind just suddenly thinks, hang on a minute, you're not dealing with, you know, I'm still so toxic, this body is still toxic. And so, you know, chemically it led to the anxiety and the panic attacks. And clean slate somehow has, you know, I for me personally, that's how I feel, is that somehow the clean slate has detoxed my body now to, I mean, the psoriasis is a lot better, it's still there, but for me, the effect on my mental health has changed my life. It's made me want to live. It's given me goals. It's given me a reason to be here. That's
incredible. I mean, I'm just totally blown away.
So how long has it been? I know Dory's got 6 weeks up on here. Are you about 6 weeks in?
So I started taking it in at the end of June.
Okay.
And I started to notice a difference probably at the end of sort of July, beginning of August. That's when I started to notice the difference. But my anxiety were bad. I mean, I could have a panic attack 2 or 3 times a week.
And these weren't light. These are severe.
Oh, you literally feel like you're going to die. I mean, you literally, your heart, you know, the only way I can describe it is you feel like you're actually going to die of a heart attack, or you can't breathe, you can't, you know, it, and you can't. It's just imagine the most frightened you've ever been. It's terror.
So in that time, so when you started to see results, and then we go from August until now, what have you seen? How do you compare? I don't think you can go on a scale of 1 to 10, because it sounds like you're going from 10 to 0.
That's yeah.
But how would you explain that? Because this, I mean, what you're hitting on is a subject, especially here in the United States, that probably 20% of the population deals with. I mean, when we talk about mental health and anxiety and you know, how people manage stress and depression, I mean, this is a big topic. And it affects loads of people. And the fact that you haven't tried Zero In yet just amazes me. But how, you know, from to simplify the process, right? Or to simplify how you feel and what you've gone through, is this something that you would recommend someone that's been in the same journey that you were once in? And what did you experience in that process when you started to see changes? Were there any like detox symptoms initially that you felt a little bit worse, or did you just progressively kind of see the change? And also, I'm throwing like 12 questions at you, but what dosage did you start with and where are you now? So go.
So I started on 5 drops twice a day.
Okay.
Initially, I was concentrating on my skin. I didn't even think about my mental health. That wasn't even a consideration at that time, because when you're mentally unwell, you don't think, oh my God, I'm going to start taking a supplement going to help my mental health. That it was purely about my skin. That's all. So I noticed with my skin that when I started taking it, the redness started to go down quite quickly, but then it would flare. And then when it flared the first time, Sandy said, okay, up your dosage to 7 drops. So that's exactly what I did. And then, it would calm down. And so initially, Clayton, my concentration was really on the skin. I didn't really think about the effects of clean slate on my mental health at all.
Mhm.
Physically, my skin would start to get better, and then it would flare. And then, I'd kind of say Sandy was amazing, regular contact, how are you getting on, Rubes, and so I'd say to him, I'm having a flare up at the moment. He'd say, okay, you know what, make sure you drink enough water, up it to 7. So now I'm on 10 drops twice a day. Making sure I'm drinking. I actually drink 3 liters of water a day. I'm because I just think, I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he said, the IVF really did severely cause so much toxicity in your body. So you need to, make sure you drink loads of water. So I'm on 3 liters of water a day, quite a good diet. I've always been sort of with my diet. But like I said, the mental health side wasn't.
I lost you for a second, but I'm trying to throw back the question that I wanted to add. So with if this is it, because I want to hit on a key point of how the body dictates this process and not our intention. If you have the 2 options, you have your mental health, and then you had your skin, which we know is a liver issue. Which do you think for your overall well-being was more important to address first?
At the time of taking clean slate, I thought it was my physical health, but now I know that anything physical normally manifests from what's going on emotionally. So if I was anxious, if I'm panicked, if I'm stressed, if I'm depressed, that's going to affect me and my system physically. So for me, and also, mental health, if you've got mental health issues, nothing gives you joy. I mean, nothing. You could literally win £1 million, and you'd go into a panic about, oh my God, I've won £1 million, and you'd find reasons to panic about that. So for me personally, the fact that it's had such a huge effect on my mental health, yeah, fine, I've still got psoriasis, you know, it's weird. The psoriasis is almost invisible to me now.
Well, and I think that's awesome. That's part of the process, and it's what I really wanted to hit on. Of when you go through the process of just, we can say cleaning up the mess, that it's your body that's going to dictate what it needs first. So now that the mental aspects are improving, I'm going to bet you that over, we'll say, the next 30, 60, 90 days, that you'll start to see the skin stuff clear up as well, because there's an innate intelligence that the body, how the body energetically is working with the fragments in clean slate on how it applies them. So it's going to address areas of greatest importance that it knows need to be addressed, which might be different than what, like you're hitting on. You started taking it from a cosmetic purpose and got results that were a little bit different than expected to start with.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
That's the beautiful aspect. So thank you so much. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. We're going to have to check in with you again 6 months from now and get an update and see how you're doing.
Oh,
But
definitely.
thank you so much. It was an amazing testimonial.